Hi, welcome to this week's Dragonblade Authors Unplugged. I'm so excited. I love it when we've got a full house, and we have even more releases than you can tell from the screen this week. But we've got Kirsten Osbourne with us, Cerise DeLand, Anna Harrington, and Kate Archer. Ladies, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you. It's great.
So Paula Quinn has a release this week, and so does Emily Murdoch, and we'll catch up with them in future weeks. But I'll make sure that you've got the link so you can grab their books as well. But I thought we'd go in reverse order this week and start at the end of the week with Kate's book, which is The Lady in Patience. And I'm going to let you, Kate, I'm going to let you do the series name because I always butcher the order. Can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, so this is book 3 of a series of senseless complications. So you can probably tell from the series title that it's pretty heavy on the com of the rom-com part of it. And Patience is all set to go to London. If you've read the first 2 books, she has a very eccentric father. They have grown up in the Yorkshire Dales, very isolated. He's a duke. He does not care about any rules or any expectations from society. And in fact, really amuses himself by shocking other people. And he's got 7 daughters to get out of the house. So Patience is number 3. And the first 2, had very wandering ways to a church. There were all sorts of things going on. But she's convinced that she's just going to go there and she's going to look around and she's going to wrap this up. So she's all business, and she does see like this guy, immediate attraction. He's immediately attracted to her. However, they have very different temperaments. So she's like, let's go. And he is like super cautious. Unbeknownst to her, he grew up with a pretty awful home situation. His parents eloped. They were very impetuous. It didn't work out. They ended up hating each other, and he bore the brunt of that. So he's all Mr. Caution. So she's trying to hurry him up. He's trying to slow it down. And then we have the household, and they're up to their usual shenanigans. Lady Marchfield has installed another butler. The housekeeper is working to get him out, as always. And then, of course, the Duke likes to sort of torture whatever young man is hanging around. So he keeps sending these weird gifts to Lord Stanford, hinting to hurry up. Like he sent a clock that says tick tock, tick tock. He sent molasses, but the poor guy is like completely lost. He thinks like an old aunt is dying. And that this is her way of saying, you need to come see me. So it's usual shenanigans.
Yeah. Yeah. I love your secondary characters, and I love how they always move the story in interesting directions. Awesome. And so we still get 4 more of these books. Is that right?
Yeah, there's 7. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I like a good emphasis on the com part of the rom-com. So very cool. Well, the next book that releases this week is Emily Murdoch's book, and it's Not a Chance in Hell. And it's part of the Chances series, which is, again, a long family saga. So I will make sure that I pop the link to that one in the comments so you can grab it if you haven't gotten it already. And then the one that comes after that is Cerise's book, which is a Lion's Den book. It's Lie Down with the Lion, because why wouldn't you? Cerise, can you tell us about that one?
Yes, well, I'm really delighted. This is Lie Down with the Lion. This is my 3rd lion. And he's doing very well today. I'm really pleased in sales. He is a very different type of hero. He is a commoner. He's an Irishman of questionable descent, or I should say ancestry, but he's smart as a whip. And he is also very well connected. So he emigrates from Waterford, Ireland, to London, and his benefactor, who is a nobleman in Ireland, sets him up with a lot of people in London for whom he becomes known as the Fixer. And he fixes political and social problems that people have. They pay him to do it. And he has his headquarters in Seven Dials. So, of course, the guy who runs the major gang in Seven Dials thinks that Dare O'Neill is his name. Dare is his enemy. And woe unto Dare. He accidentally sees and falls in love with his enemy's daughter. And she decides, after meeting this mysterious guy on a bridle path, a fellow named Mr. Dillon, because he already knows who she is, and so he gives her a false name. She goes to Mrs. Dove-Lyon because she wants to get married. And Mr. Dillon, whom she finds very attractive, is not willing to get married. He tells her that if he married, he would marry one special woman, but they are star-crossed. And she says, well, can't you sometimes fix that? Because he's already told her he's a fixer. She doesn't quite understand what that means, but he gives her a few examples. And so we have the beginning of the story. I won't tell you the twist of fate. You gotta read the book. But it was great fun to write. And it is, in fact, very connected with my current series, Scarlet Affairs, in that Dare is a fixer for Lord Fournier, who is the hero of book 4, Lord Fournier's Shameless Princess, that came out last month. So you get to see Dare there helping someone out. You get to see him totally flummoxed, unable to help himself. And then you will see him in future books. He is in book 5, and I think he's in book 6. So I'm reading 5 now. Okay, so there we are. Lie down with a lion. Come up like a lamb.
That sounds great. And you said it was your third Lions Den book?
Yes. Yeah.
So what's it like writing in the...
I'm sorry.
What's it like writing in the connected world as opposed to writing?
It's very good. Isn't that interesting? My husband asked me that this morning. What makes these books different? And I said, well, they're all arranged marriage for one reason or another. And everybody has a very good reason for trying to go to Mrs. Dove-Lyon and pay a fee or not, and find someone who might be a good fix for them. Notice the word fix. So it's great fun to write a lion book. It's shorter than to the point, and get the problem solved. So it's great fun.
We've got a segue series.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like great fun, and yeah, and I love that. I love the title of "Lie Down with the Lion and Wake Up with the Lamb." It's fantastic. So the next book that came out this week is Anna's book, and it's The Devil's Own Duke. And can you tell us a little bit about this one in the series order?
So this is book 4. It's the last book in the Dukes of Darkness series. And the Dukes of Darkness series is about 4 men who all grew up and became dukes for various reasons, who met at Eton when they were boys, and they learned to fight together under a master of arms who taught them not just how to fight, but how to grow up, how to take care of the people they love, how to take care of each other. And eventually they decide to go off and fight against Napoleon, and they become mercenaries in the wars. And because of different things in their past, they end up coming back to England and selling into lives of dukes. And this last book is about Chase, Duke of Grasmere, who is just returning to England from a 2-year self-exile in Spain because he lost his wife and his toddler son in a shipwreck, and he blames himself for it because he
Oh my.
thinks he's a bad husband and a bad father. And so he, in order to deal with the grief, he had to leave. So he's coming back to England to close up the castle. It's this really creepy Gothic castle on the seaside, full of ghosts and things that go bump in
Oh
the night
goodness.
and shadows. And he decides to ask his late wife's cousin for help. And he doesn't know that she's been in love with him all along, ever since she met him when she was like 15. And she is trying to do her best to get him to stay in England, but he just wants to go back to Spain. And then all kinds of spooky things start happening at the castle. These forces that kind of force them together for romantic moments in attics and in the garden in thunderstorms and by the seaside with the surf storming up, and eventually I can't give it away, but eventually there's a shock that comes back into his life and sets everything he thought he knew and everything he thought he wanted on its head.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. It's not paranormal though, just
No, it's not paranormal. And you find out that it's really not ghosts, but shh, don't tell anybody. It's just that it's sort of like a Gothic novel, Gothic setting. The weather and the castle itself are two extra characters in this novel that come into play.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So when we escape, we can really escape.
Yes, because that's the point of romance, right? You really definitely want to escape, and I wouldn't ever want to go into a haunted castle anywhere. I'm a coward, and darkness and shadows and noises make me just creep me out. But it's fun to do it in the book, and then it was fun to write. So I hope everyone enjoys it.
Yeah, I'm never going down in the basement, but I don't mind reading about going down in the basement.
Yeah, exactly. I make sure I buy houses that don't have basements.
Yeah. You hear a noise, you call somebody. You don't go check it out on your own. That never ends well.
No, it never does. Yep.
And this is the last book in the series?
This is the last book in the series. It's a 4-book series, and this is the last one. I don't know what I'm going to be writing next. I need to take a bit of a break from writing. I've got my 80-year-old mother who's got dementia, so I'm taking care of her, and I need a break from classes because my day job, I teach college, and that's just wrapping up right now. And so I'm going to take off a few weeks and then figure out what's going to come next. But it'll be a brand new series. I can promise everyone that.
Good. I'm glad you have a couple of weeks off. It's important to be able to rebuild and refill.
Yes, and you know how everybody talks about getting a gap year? I want a nap year where I can just take a nap for a full year. That's what I want. So
I empathize with that. I came back on the red eye this weekend. It's like I slept so much the next day, and then I was like, naps in the afternoon don't seem like such a bad deal anymore.
Oh no!
You fight them horribly when you're a child, and then long for them as an adult. So
that's exactly. I wish I could go back and have nap time every afternoon again.
Awesome. Well, we'll wait to hear what comes next when you know what comes next. So.
Yeah, I have no idea yet, but it'll be soon. I'll know by fall, definitely.
Great. Well, the next book that came out this week is Kirsten Osbourne's book, and it's her Dragonblade debut, and it's Highland Heart, and it's one in the Rise of the Highlands series. Kirsten, can you tell us about that? And then I want to know who you have sitting next to you too. So.
Sitting next to me?
Yeah,
my
in the
son's
cage.
been walking behind me.
Oh, I thought you had a bird in the cage. So it's like I was so.
No, we foster cats, and the cage there is when we need to keep them separated for whatever reason, or need to have one available for somebody who comes in because they're all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I have such pet envy that I always feel like I'm poking at people to find out what they live with. But please tell us about the book. And also the cover for this one is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. So this is my Dragonblade debut, and I do interconnected worlds in every book. So I have over 300 books out at this point.
That's a lot.
And yes, and they're all in one big world. So when I did the Dragonblade, I connected it to another world.
Mhm.
Um, the other world is about a family of McLeans, and the current generation. I've got the three oldest brothers. Um, are meet up with the three daughters of Duncan McAfee. Duncan is lost three different wives in childbirth,
Oh,
Wow.
but the three daughters all survived. So he basically trained them up as sons. The oldest, this book is about Fiona McAfee, who is an excellent archer,
mhm.
and Alistair MacLean, who is basically a MacLean warrior.
Mhm.
It's set in the, I think these are set in the 1500s. Yeah, middle of the 1500s. And Alistair sees Fiona and falls for her immediately. Fiona isn't sure what she thinks of him.
I love it. He falls
And
first.
there's something nefarious going on, but they're not sure where it's coming from or why it's happening. And they've got a really good idea that it's a neighboring clan, but they're not sure. So these are all Scottish historicals, of course,
Mhm.
and they tie in very, very closely to the MacLeans, which is a paranormal series. But these are not paranormal.
Mhm.
It The MacLeans all have weird powers,
Mhm.
but they're moving into this world. The three brothers will end up marrying the three sisters.
And they're three half sisters.
I'm sorry?
Are they three half sisters?
Yes, they're all
Okay,
half sisters because they all have different
their
mothers.
mothers.
Yeah. And he decided to never marry again after the third one because he thought he was killing all his wives.
Well, the evidence would suggest,
Yes. Yes.
So, aside from
But
being an archer, what is our heroine like?
she is all about duty. All three
Mhm.
of them are. Um, she's the oldest daughter, so she feels like it's her job to keep the clan together. And her father has let her know that whoever she marries will become the new laird of Clan McAfee. And so this happens in the first half of the book, so I'll admit it. Um, she is kidnapped by a neighboring
Oh
clan
goodness.
member, the son of a laird, who kidnaps her just to get her to agree to marry him because he's been told that his clan needs, they've shifted all their men into their army. So nobody's growing food, nobody's hunting.
Mhm.
It's just an army. And they won't make it through the winter unless they make a really good alliance.
Mhm.
So he kidnaps her to get her to ally with their clan, but um it happens while she's visiting Clan MacLean. So her father is all for the relationship until she's kidnapped under Alistair's watch.
Hmm.
Now, she was out wandering before dawn, and it was her fault. Not really her fault. I mean,
You
nobody's
can't
at
blame
fault when
somebody
they're
for their own
kidnapped.
kidnapping.
Right. But that kidnapping turns her father against Alistair.
Hmm. So now we have a reason for them not to be together. So
Right. So her father is completely against it now, and Alistair is basically begging for a second chance, and they're working together. Of course, it all works out in the end. And
wouldn't
we
be
get a
romance
little,
if it didn't.
I'm sorry?
It wouldn't be a romance if it didn't.
Of course. Yeah.
Awesome.
But it's a fun story.
Mhm.
I use a lot of humor when I write. I wouldn't call this one a rom-com because there's not as much humor.
Mhm.
And I've never written a book this long before.
Oh,
70,000 words was
wow.
huge for me. Most of my books are in the 30 range.
Oh, wow. So that's a whole different.
So,
That's a whole different
yeah,
way of telling a story.
it is. And it proved more difficult than I thought it would.
It's interesting because I think people get used to a certain pacing in their writing, and you know when story beats have to happen based on how long you are. And I can see that would be a challenge. Well, it
Yeah.
sounds like great fun, and I'm glad we get more of them to look forward to. Yeah. Well, we still have a few minutes left, and I thought it would be interesting since we're starting series and ending series, and I know Cerise has got an incredibly long series, and Kate's series is going to be 7 books long, and the previous series was also a long series. I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about how you plot your series, how you decide how you figure out what's going to tickle you and make you want to write it next. You know how it is that you. I think people think writers don't have or go looking for ideas, and I think part of the problem is being able to narrow the ideas down to the one that you're going to pick. You know, it always seems like there's so many of them. What is a shiny ball that's going to grab you and hold you long enough to get the book done? So I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about that if anybody just wants to jump in.
Yeah, because I have 16 books in this series, and I pinpoint one historical issue or series of problems that occur in those actual years. I go from 1802 to 1816. One of my major challenges was to figure out how I was going to present historical accuracy and yet do it in, of course, a fiction form, and to allow these people, hero and heroine, to have personal challenges within that very realistic historical context. And I also said to myself, well, you know, we have to have a panoply of types of plots. So one is action. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So one is seek and find. The other is action adventure. Another one is let's solve an old mystery in the family. The next one is escape from the bad guys. And currently in book number 5, I'm into a concept of 2 people who meet and both have evidence or give evidence to the other with just by living that they may in fact be spies working against each other. And yeah, so it's a challenge, but you know, I love every minute of it, except when I get flummoxed. So there you go.
Fantastic. Kate, I know humor is incredibly important in your books and has been in the last several series. And I know that comedy. I keep waiting for you and Jade or you and Jade Lee to be on the same thing because she's been talking about comedy a lot too. And I figured I could just let you guys have at it. But is there a specific way you structure your series or figure out what it is that what direction you're going to go in, what it is that you want to write about based on what you find humorous or compelling?
I so much wish I could claim that I plot everything out, and I don't. whenever I contract with Dragonblade, I come up with, a framework for what this is. And then sometimes it sort of stays on track and sometimes it doesn't. I'm not a good plotter. I just don't. But I pick things that just make me laugh. And usually what makes me laugh is character-driven humor. So you have people standing in a spot that is not quite the spot everybody else stands in, but they don't know it. So to themselves, they feel like the way they act and the things they say are totally reasonable. And there are reasons why they are like the way they are.
Yeah.
And then they just clash against other people who don't agree. So, I mean, I could talk about comedy for an hour. You know that. I wrote my thesis on it. I love it. And I think that's sort of where I fit as a writer. If someone's looking for something super angsty, they're going to be so disappointed with me. It's not what I can do. Yeah.
If you want to laugh out loud, romp to get your mind off of whatever your mind is currently stuck on, I think.
Yeah. It's just a good escape, lots of fun. Yeah, that's what I like. And I don't like slapstick. And I think that's the trick, especially in historical romantic comedy, to not discount, sort of try to inject it with like, oh, and she fell out of a carriage or something, right? It needs to be based on who they are. Like the ridiculous thing they did has to be about who they are. Yeah. And to me, that's what's fun about it.
And that idea that they believe that their response is perfectly normal. Their response is perfectly in line. They believe, regardless of how outrageous it is, that it is a perfectly normal response, and also that there's a plausible reason for why they would believe that. Then you can just laugh because you can go completely along with it. So
it's the skewed worldview, which if you Google it, many people have written about, and that's what character-driven humor is to me.
Yeah. Well, to us, it's big fun and a great escape. So. Anna, what about you? I know you're gearing up to try and figure out what comes next. Do you have certain things that you do to try and figure out how to weed through your ideas to find one to focus on?
So usually what happens is I get hit with images from a specific character, a specific book, a specific house in a book. The setting is really important to me. I've been always been drawn to houses and locations. And when that happens and I get those clear pictures in my head of the character, and it doesn't even have to be the whole plot, just certain scenes, certain interactions, then I know that I have to write it and put it down on paper. And when I don't have that clear vision, that's when I get worried, because if I get, 4 or 5 books into a series and I don't have them in my head, then I've got problems. I've got to figure out what to do to get them back there, so that there are stories screaming to be put down on paper. I am super angsty. I am the super angsty one. I love dark humor, and I will throw in dark humor every now and then, and always lots of banter. But I always believe that with my characters, and especially in this series, make them hurt. Do mean things to your characters. Make them suffer. Make the pain come out, right? Build that catharsis for your reader. But so this series is especially darker. But again, with this book, it's so funny because the Devil's Own Duke is set in this castle on the seaside, and it's based on Culling Castle that I visited when I was in Scotland. Because it's this gorgeous castle on this cliff. And, if somebody walked too far in front of the castle, they're going to fall off into the water. And it's got a deer park behind it and old trees and an old creepy church. And it was just like the perfect setting. I was like, how could you not set a novel with gothic overtones in a castle like this? And you can stay at that castle. I did not.
I can say, but not go in the basement or in the attic or any of the scary places.
No. I stayed completely in the well-lighted hallways, and everything, just because I can't even stand, creepy movies and horror movies. They freak me out. So, But I love the idea of Gothic novels, especially when they're based, a little bit of the Victorian Gothic in this, even though it's set in the Regency. But normally I just get flashes. And when I get flashes of characters, especially just interactions, it could just be like in the first book of the series, they're in a carriage, it's an enemies to lovers trope, and they're in a carriage and they both pull guns on each other at the same time. And they're just sitting there in the carriage scene, who's going to blink first. When I get visions like that, I have to write it. And I know that's what's going to happen. So I'll just take a couple of weeks and just let all the different stories ruminate. And sometimes it sounds funny, but sometimes you just have to get the perfect name for your characters. Mm-hmm. If the name doesn't fit, you give up and try again. And
it's like trying to force someone to be something they're not.
Exactly. Because names and setting are so much extensions of personality from the characters that you just gotta go with that. But in this one, it's so funny because actually, this one started off where the wife was still going to be alive and the son had just died. Oh. And then I thought, no, that's not painful enough. I need to make it even more painful. And it just went from there. And I just thought this is just going to be a tearjerker on every page, and ghosts that jump out and mysterious. They're in the attic, and of course they're kissing, and then this big thunderstorm happens and a child's ball rolls out from nowhere and hits her in the foot. And so creepy little moments like that.
We don't kiss anymore. We stop kissing when that happens.
That's right, exactly. And she faints, so she does, but but it was so much fun. It was like, how can I make this scarier? What can I do without making it into a completely comic? So it was a lot of fun to write.
It sounds like it. It sounds like a lot of fun. Kirsten, what about you? With so many books out, do you always base your books on families? Is that how you keep track of things, or how do you?
No,
do the other?
I do. So I have a series that's over 60 books now. Don't ask me how many because I don't remember. But they're all mail order bride books.
Oh, fun.
So I've got one matchmaker sending all these women all over the country. And I have to laugh. She talks about how the name has to perfectly fit.
Mm-hmm.
I force my fans to name my characters.
Oh, goodness.
So I've got to kill somebody in this book. It's going to be a man. Somebody name her or name him. And I get this whole long list of people that they need killed.
Yeah, so it's their exes and the people that vex them, I would imagine.
Right. And to me, a lot of times I'll just go online and see what the top baby names were in that time period. And then I choose one that I haven't used a bunch.
Yep.
Because with 300 books, I'm reusing names without meaning to, but it happens.
Well,
and I'll realize it later.
So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So my way of doing things is very different from hers. I'm currently writing a series set in Alaska that I have been dreaming about for years. And I don't know why I'm dreaming about this setting, but I am. So I'm taking an idea I had for something else and moving it to Alaska and this town I keep dreaming about. I don't know why. It just works for me.
I think we can all agree that setting is really important and can sometimes be a character in its own right. So, ladies, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. It's always a joy to talk with you and to meet you if I haven't met you before. So I love this part of the week, and I hope our readers do too. Paula Quinn also had a book come out this week. It's A Touch for All Time. So I will make sure I put the link to all of these books and also Paula's book and Emily's books in the comments so you can grab them. if you don't have them already, and I got to do my used car salesman spiel, which is Dragonblade books are the best deal on pre-order and release. So you want to grab them then, and they really are. They're like less than a bad cup of coffee. So there's no get them, jump on it right now. And if for some reason you miss it, you can always read in Kindle Unlimited, where there is absolutely no barrier to entry. I love reading in Kindle Unlimited. So, all right, ladies, thanks again for taking the time to talk to us. I appreciate it.